Previously on my Idleon series, I was defeated by the World 1 boss. But today, I knew that I was gonna kill the boss and reach the second world. After claiming my AFK rewards, I knew that I had to power up before fighting the boss. The boss killing weapon I had my eye on were the stingers. But first I created my next character, who I decided to call Very Super Cool. Huh, I wonder if these names will ever get confusing. I started progressing with Super Very Cool, doing the Scriptious quest line, killing green spores, mining copper, and killing frogs. In the last video, some people were asking me to create a guild, so I finally made one. It's called MMO underscore masters. So if you want to join, I'll be accepting pretty much anybody. And then I finally made the stingers. And then it was time to choose a class for very super cool. Yeah, that's definitely gonna get confusing. I chose warrior because I want to make this a very tanky character. And for those wondering, the character I was originally planning to give the secret class to, I just gave it a normal class because I decided that would be a better idea from the feedback that you guys gave me in the comments. And then it was time to finally go and fight the boss. I had 3 keys and I had to make each one of them count. I was fighting as soon as I entered the boss room. I started dodging his attacks, and my plan was simple. I was going to sneak up to him so he couldn't hit me with his sword swing attack, just like he missed right now, so I could keep peppering him until he died. This seemed to be working pretty well until he lifted up his foot and smashed it into the ground and made some spikes come out. But I dodged that really easily and kept fighting. Then he did his flying fist attack, which I was not able to dodge. But I had a revive so I could keep fighting. I was dodging the boss's attacks and it seemed like I would win. I was actually doing some solid damage and the boss was not able to hit me at all. But then he summoned a shield which I had to go destroy to be able to damage him again. Then suddenly I started taking damage. I'm not sure how this happened because I wasn't getting hit by anything, but somehow I still managed to die. The second try went much, much worse than the first. But then I realized that with the stingers, I wasn't able to use my lightning bolt ability, which was my strongest by far, so I equipped a staff and went right back into the boss fight for my final attempt. I went into the boss fight with high hopes. I began attacking the boss and dealing a lot of damage to him now that I had my lightning strike ability back. He was not able to hit me a lot, and I even started destroying the shields that he spawned in. He started spawning in health crystals, but that didn't help him much because I destroyed them quickly and went right back to attacking him. At this point, he was getting very low, and I was getting really nervous to mess it all up and die somehow. But I managed to come up to him for those last couple of hits and kill the boss. I collected the loot, among which was the stone you needed to get to World 2. And finally, on the fourth installment of my Idleon series, I opened the World 2 portal and progressed to the next area. World 2 had a lot of things that I was unfamiliar with, like the cauldron and brewing and the skull pit. I am still not really familiar with all these systems, but I hope that you guys will help me and come along for the ride. The first World 2 fighting area had these sandy pots that you had to kill, but I still had some things to do in World 1 before I was ready to grind here. I also got this new special talent. Very, very cool, who at first was supposed to be the specialized class, will now be a woodchopper. I also made a top hat for MMO Master. I found this frog area where all my stats were reset, but I'm not really sure what it's about. To end the video, I decided to test the strength of each one of my characters in the Colosseum. I started with very super cool, who I gave the stingers. He did pretty well, getting to round 4 with an eventual score of 604. Next was very cool, who did a little worse. He got to round 4 with a score of 417. Next was very cool Archer. I can definitely see how these names are gonna get confusing later on. Very Cool Archer got to round 4 with a score of 576. Next was Human Who Alive, who got to round 6 with a score of 2,240. And finally, my first character ever made, MMO Master, who got to round 10 with a score of 3,193. And that's going to be it for today's episode. I'm excited to continue exploring World 2 and seeing what other things we can find. I hope you guys like the video, and please consider liking and subscribing because these videos do take a long time to make. Thank you, and goodbye.